Planning for the future is important for everyone, but it's even more important for the owner of a business. For many business owners, the value of their business constitutes the majority of their total net worth. And a lot of times, an exit from a business is involuntary. We often think of the 4 Ds: death, disability, divorce, and disagreement. As you can imagine, if any of those happens, you may be facing an involuntary exit. In light of that, it's surprising that it's estimated that 60% of owners don't understand all of their exit options. And on top of that, up to 75% of owners regret the decision to sell their business a year later. That's what makes exit planning so important to get right. Let's talk about types of exits. There are 2 broad types. Internal options include intergenerational transfer, such as gifting or selling it to the next generation, such as your children. Or it could include selling the business to your key employees, the management team. Or it could include an ESOP, an employee stock ownership plan. Some examples of external transitions would include selling to a strategic buyer, such as a competitor, or selling to a financial institution, such as a private equity firm. So regardless of which exit option the business owner ultimately chooses, it's important that the exit plan address the 3 legs of the owner's stool. That is, their personal situation, their personal financial situation in terms of their ability to retire, and 3 is the business valuation. Next, we'll take a look at each of those legs of the stool and what the biggest challenge is of each one. So first, let's look at the personal leg. And this is often the most difficult one, because for many business owners, so much of their life and even their identity has been wrapped up in that business. And that's why so many of them can regret the decision to exit the business a year later. So it's really important to get this right. What are your family considerations? What is your spouse or your children? What are their interests in the business? Are they ready for you to retire? Are they interested in owning the business? Are they interested in running the business? Those are questions you have to answer. You also have to know, what are you planning to do in retirement? You know, you can only play so much golf or sit on the beach so many days. You really need to have purpose in that next stage of life. The next challenge is looking at the financial leg of the stool. What are the owner's finances going to be like when they're in retirement? You know, when you retire, you move from living off of the earned income that you make each year from the business to living off the assets that you have. And so it's really important to understand, what do you need to be ready to retire in order to maintain the quality of life that you want to retire? This is where you really need to have a financial advisor who's a professional expert in this area and can advise you on what you need to retire that's specific for your situation. So once you understand what your ultimate goal is, where you need to be in terms of assets to be able to retire, then you need to look at, where am I today in terms of current liquid assets without the business? And then that wealth gap is the delta. It's the difference between the assets that you need to have and what you have today outside of the business. That's the value that you need to get from whatever form of exit that you choose from the business. Those are the assets you need to complete your retirement plan. So the third piece of this is the business leg. We need to make sure that we're maximizing the value of the business and getting it ready to be transferable by looking at its attractiveness and readiness. You wouldn't sell your home by just putting it on the market. You'd make sure that it's ready to sell. Well, it's the same with a business, except it's much more complex when you go to sell a business or transfer it to the next generation. So we want to look at, how can we improve the financial performance of the business, often measured by EBITDA, and we want to look at, how can we increase the value that somebody would pay for it by increasing the multiple. And that's where we get into making the business more attractive and more ready to sell by reducing things like customer concentration and owner dependence. One of the ways that we do that is by implementing the value acceleration methodology. And this is a methodology where we look at all 3 legs of the stool, and working together with a team of advisors, we continue to work on making sure that all 3 legs of the stool, including the business, are ready for the next phase of the exit plan. So considering the 3 legs of the stool of exit planning and the challenges with each, It's really important that you assemble the right team of advisors to walk alongside the business owner and help to achieve success with this plan. The three key players are in the center of this graph. It's your accountant, your personal financial advisor, and a consultant who can bring the team together and help you stay focused on running the business and allowing you to make the key decisions at every step of the way during the exit planning process. At the appropriate time, other experts will be brought into this, such as attorneys and others, to help with various parts of the exit planning process. Lastly, we're often asked, when should I start the exit planning process? And the short answer is yesterday. You really can't start this process too soon. I like the way Stephen Covey says it, begin with the end in mind. It's really important to understand where you want to end up ultimately. And then with that in mind, we can build a plan to get there. Exiting a business is one of the most important personal and financial decisions you'll make in your entire life.